Hello and welcome to the Astrology Forecast. My name is Sage, here as your eye into the sky, letting you know what the cosmic events are for the week, why they matter, and how you can use this information in your everyday life. I hope everyone is feeling rejuvenated, especially after the very intense week we had last week between the summer solstice, full moon in Capricorn. It was a lot of energy. We had planets entering into Cancer. If you're a Cancer right now, you are feeling the energy. So shout out to all the Cancers listening right now. It is your season to shine, right? This is Cancer season. Not only is the sun in Cancer, but we also have Mercury and Venus in Cancer. So a lot of Cancer energy activated in our sky and in our chart. Speaking of charts, Cancer babies listening, you are given 50% off of solar return readings, which is essentially just a birthday reading, okay? So every single year, we have a new chart that goes into effect on our birthday. And fun fact, sometimes our actual solar return day is not the same day as our birthday. Sometimes it's a day ahead or behind, which is pretty cool to check out. And again, it's only in effect for 1 year. So if you want to know what you can look forward to this year, a birthday reading, aka solar return chart reading, is the one you want. And again, 50% off, less than $100, and you can get a full reading, includes a PDF and all that fun stuff. And I do offer gift certificates if you have a friend or loved one that you would like to purchase for. Other things about this week, we have kind of a waning week, right? We just came off of the full moon in Capricorn. This was a time of illumination. What got illuminated for you last week? Take a moment and really reflect for a second. What came up, especially in the Capricorn Cancer parts of your chart, if you know where they are, amazing, can give you even deeper insight. What came up for you? What felt illuminated? What came to the surface? Oftentimes during full moons, our emotions are heightened and things come to the surface as a sort of peak or culmination. Now that we experienced that, this week is kind of like the decline of the peak, and it's basically a time of integrating and taking whatever came to the surface and then using that for either better or worse, hopefully better, and really working with it and putting it into practice, so to speak. We only have one major cosmic event this week, pretty short and sweet forecast, although it is a cosmic event that will be in effect all the way until November. So it is a bit longer of a cycle that will be affecting us. So it is important to note where this is taking place in your chart. And in this case, we're actually going to be discussing Pisces. So if you have your birth chart, look at where Pisces is in the chart. Surprisingly, I know it's been a lot of talk about Cancer, but another water sign is kind of popping up to the surface this week and reminding us to pay attention to this part of our chart. So look at where you've got Pisces in your chart, as it's likely that this area of life is going to be more so activated, especially towards the end of this week. So with all that being said, let's dive in and find out what we can expect for this upcoming week. So the beginning half of this week is mostly just feeling the leftover energy from the very intense full moon we had last week in conjunction with the summer solstice, all the energy entering into Cancer. We are kind of like taking a little bit of a slow start to this week and sort of integrating that energy. Now, by the end of this week is really when we start to feel a heavier presence coming in. Could be heavy. It also could feel really strong and solid and stable. And this is happening on Saturday, June 29th. We have Saturn stationing retrograde in Pisces. Now, Saturn is a very serious energy within our cosmic neighborhood, so to speak. You know, Saturn is the planet that is all about structure and responsibility. And it is the planet of time, right? It's actually known and symbolized by the god of time, right? The lord of time, Kronos. And so Saturn really is all about the structure and the things that we can tangibly and practically rely upon. I always like to say Saturn is kind of like the matrixy sort of planet because it really is the planet of reality, right? Really tapping us back into this 3D reality, reminding us of our responsibilities. Hey, you got to get up in the morning for work. You got to make sure that you create some structure in this particular area of your life. stability. Again, I always say Saturn is kind of like the daddy of the zodiac, and it's going to let you know, hey, you've got a curfew, you have homework, you've got to be up in the morning, you have things you have to do, right? Now, Saturn has been in Pisces for over a year. It actually entered Pisces officially back on March 7th of 2023. Now, it was direct during that time, and then last June, similar to right now, it stationed retrograde all the way until November. Same thing is happening this year. And yeah, honestly, it happens like this every year. So this is nothing new, right? Saturn goes retrograde every year. But it is a longer term retrograde, right? It's not the 3-week retrograde of Mercury because Saturn is such a longer orbit time. And so, with that being said, Saturn going retrograde does last for some time. Now, if you look back, if you want to reflect and think back on what was happening for you between June and November of last year in the Pisces part of your chart in particular, knowing where this is, and if again, having that maybe more detailed eye on what else was happening in your chart if you're at that level. If not, you can always message me, reach out, and we can talk about your chart, because this is really where the reflection comes in. If you really want to understand how this planetary influence is showing up for you, think back and track what happened for you the last time this occurred, right? Easy way of looking back, seeing past experience and learning from it. Now, this particular stationing, right, this Saturn retrograde starting on the 29th is going to remind us of a lot that was going on for us back in November of 2023. So if you just want to start from November, that's cool. In fact, I highly recommend if you really want to reflect, think back to what was going on in November in particular, because this was the last time that Saturn was at the exact same place that it will be now moving towards again. So with that all to look at, I really want you to look at what was happening and now compare it to now. There's a couple of ways that Saturn retrograde can manifest, right? And I want to make this clear. Everything in astrology is still at the mercy of our expression of that energy, because everything is energy, right? And everything in astrology is energy. It's just looking at it through the lens of our solar system, which again is at its core simply energy. So this is an energy that can feel basically a multitude of different ways depending upon how you express it. So I never want to make it like it's black and white, because it's not. So, whatever I'm saying, I want you to remember that this information is for you to work with and then decide your own unique expression of this energy. It will show up in your chart for better or worse in some way, shape, or form. But now knowing how to work with it, how to direct it, how to vibrate as high as possible with this energy is key. So I'm going to discuss two kind of very different ways we can go about it. The first is this heavier Saturnian energy that pulls us down. I know it's Pisces, and this area of our life is typically the area that we like to float into the clouds and daydream and drift off into La La Land. And that's a beautiful Piscean quality. Now, since last March, when Saturn entered Pisces, it's likely that suddenly the daydream, fa la la, cloud nine feeling sort of dwindled, maybe a little bit, and it brought us a bit more down to earth, right? That's kind of what Saturn does. Now, this could feel even more heavy and dense come the retrograde, because again, think about what a retrograde is. Retrograde is basically, from our vantage point, the planet is slowing down and then moving backwards. So it's really this pulling back effect. Now, again, Saturn's already a heavy energy. It's very serious. It's asking us to stand up and take responsibility. In the sense, this could mean that this area of our life in particular, the Pisces part of our chart, or if you want to look at a collective level, we could also just look at this overall energy and note that it might make us feel a bit frustrated. We might feel like things aren't moving as fast as we'd like them to. We might have had some plans, things that we were working on, commitments that we made back in November, and whatever that situation was, things have been moving along pretty steadily ever since then. Now that we have this retrograde starting, it all of a sudden might feel like we have to put the brakes on. Maybe it'll feel like this is slowing down and all of a sudden things feel more frustrating. There might be more obstacles. Saturn is the planet of lessons, and these are the lessons that we have to learn, not always that we desire to learn, because the process in learning that lesson is not always the most enjoyable, to put it simply. So this could be one way it shows up for us, that we feel sluggish, that we feel frustrated, that we feel this weight of responsibility that Saturn is reminding us of. There's that re word, it's a retrograde. So it might be a time when suddenly it's like the paperwork's piling up and we have to attend to those responsibilities, to the things that we agreed to. Right? Saturn's that planet of commitment. And we need to honor maybe the commitments we made back in November of last year, that perhaps they've, found their natural course and they didn't fully end up the way you'd intended. This is the time to look back, retrograde again, and really reflect on ways that we can take more responsibility in this area. Other things is structure. We might feel like we have to create more structure in this area of our life. It could feel like when Saturn is retrograde that there's almost too much structure. The Pisces energy here loves to flow, right? That's what Pisces does. It's water. We are putting up so many, almost like um, ways of directing the water. I'm visualizing like a riverbank, right? And we're creating all of these different structures and segments and containers, so to speak, for the water to go in, that it's not able to move in its natural way, organically flowing. It's not doing that. And so look at your life. You might have to pull back the reins a bit in an area and revamp some things so they don't feel so structured. So maybe you can incorporate more flow. I hope these questions and these thoughts are really provoking maybe some deeper thought on whatever this is for you. Now, that's one way. The other way this could be expressed is that Saturn is, again, the planet of lessons. But speaking as a teacher, when we do a lesson, when we basically learn a lesson, what always comes after we learn a lesson is a test. And so Saturn is also the planet that rewards us for a job well done, right? It's like when you pass that test, you get the A plus, and suddenly you're feeling really good. On the alternative side, yes, you can also fail a test, and Saturn is certainly that pass or fail energy. But let's say that we pass. Let's say that we take this retrograde and it, again, brings us back to some of the stuff that was going on in November. And it does have us revisiting some previous commitments, but perhaps these are commitments that we put into place, that we started working towards. Saturn is the planet of hard work. And of course, hard work always gets a reward. This could be the time when we are reaping the reward that we so earnestly deserve, right? This could be where we've been really putting in the work, sleeves rolled up, hands in the dirt, really getting, our fingers in the dirt. Like we're actually growing and building and really getting into whatever this project is. I don't even know if that analogy made sense, you guys, but hopefully you feel me. So we take this and then we expand on it. We become a master in our field. We reap some reward, and it almost feels like we are getting back the manifestation that we put in. So again, this can show up in a multitude of ways. In general, this is a time of setting more boundaries, perhaps maybe resetting boundaries. If things have been feeling a little bit too loosey goosey, Saturn retrograde is going to remind us that we cannot be loosey goosey for whatever reason, and we need to be a little bit more structured, a little bit more disciplined, committed, and again, making sure that we are creating that stability, that structure, and taking things seriously, because suddenly there might feel like there's more weight on us. And again, diamonds only form through pressure. And that's really what Saturn's all about, right? Are you going to crack under pressure, or are you going to become a diamond? And that's really the pass or fail. That's the test that we're up against with Saturn, no matter what phase of Saturn cycle you're in at the moment, whether that be currently feeling the energy of Saturn in Pisces, maybe you're even experiencing a Saturn return, right? It doesn't matter. Saturn is going to test you in some way, shape, or form. You decide the result of that test, right? And we know, going back to school, what do we have to do in order to pass a test? We have to study. We have to put energy into things, right? Where focus goes, energy flows. More energy typically means higher vibration, which typically means a better outcome. Hope that made sense, that little flow chart I gave you guys. But that really is the crux of Saturn retrograde. So take that information, apply it to the area of your life that's being activated by this retrograde. You might be reminded of things and situations and even feelings and responsibilities, because that's what Saturn does, that we might have been neglecting, and suddenly we need to remember and refocus back on the task at hand so we can do the job. A job well done will give us the reward that we've been waiting for. So, lots of things to look forward to. Taking this in, we can integrate. We're in a waning moon phase now, right? We've got that beautiful waning gibbous as I record. I just saw it this morning. It was really just coming out of that peak full moon energy. And now we can take all the lessons and really start to feel that depth of Cancer season. Allow this week to kind of pull you back to the depths of your soul, as Cancer loves to do. And again, remind yourself of what you're here to do and why you're doing it. And that synergy, again, we're dealing with water signs, both Cancer and Pisces. Really tap into your soul, and I guarantee you will feel the result. You'll feel the magic. It might be a Saturnian magic where it's a job well done, an A plus, but that's a good thing, right? Because that makes us feel good. And when we feel good, we vibrate higher. When we vibrate higher, we manifest more of what we desire. So, with that being said, that really wraps it up, guys. I know it's not much this week, and yet it is so crucial in a lot of ways to just take even these simple weeks where the cosmos are just slowly kind of guiding us deeper into our inner space, right? I like to say we like to bridge the outer space, right, with our inner space. I'm gonna do something with that one day. You heard it here first. But anyway, you all, thank you for listening, for taking this information. If you got value from it, please go ahead, hit that like button. Make sure you've already subscribed. I'm pushing 100 subscribers. It's been a long time kind of moving our way forward. I actually have some pretty exciting plans in the works as far as this channel goes, really giving even more, depth and value and substance to this channel. So please make sure that you're sharing it out with anybody that you know and love that you think could get value from it. And as always, have a beautiful, wonderful week. I will see you all again next Sunday.